from TMUC, Bahia Spring from Department of Fashion Textile. And basically, my research question is how music help you in psychological issues and stress. Okay.
Basically, you need to understand. So if the stress is long term, that this converts into depression. Okay. So basically, the treatment of depression is not music therapy, to be honest, but treatment of the stress can be music therapy. So basically, we talk about the stress. So stress means when you have element of anxiety, element of low mood, which continues for days, and you don't feel happy, you have low appetite, and all these things. So these come into the account of stress. Then, second of your question is, does music therapy helps you in this regard? So I definitely agree. Music therapy is definitely helps us, in this regard of stress. Or basically, if we take the music into in different types, so there can be fast music, there can be slow music, there can be Sufi music. So my basic ideology is, apart from the fast and slow music, Sufi music has an impact to decrease your stress levels. Okay.
Yes.
So
What are the signs and symptoms of a mentally stressed person?
I told you, as I told you before, the signs and symptoms are basically if you have a prolonged low mood, if you have body aches which are not explained by any other thing, low appetite, and body aches and all this thing, we can account all in depression. And if it lasts for days, just not for a couple of days, if you have this problem for a couple of days, we can only be depression. But if it lasts for a week or more than a week and you're continuously in a low mood, so that can account as depression.
So, do you recommend music therapy to your patients?
I do regards to decrease the depression, and actually we did sort of experiment in the last couple of years, honestly, on the COVID-19 era, where we do not have much patients to while seeing in the clinic. So definitely we advise some people to have you should listen to the music. And I told you, I recommend actually Sufi music first. So I think that music helps in the decrease in depression, and maybe do better
I
with depression.
was read that classical music also helps.
Definitely
Classical jazz
music,
music.
jazz music, every kind of music. Because I'm talking about Sufi music because the part of the world we are living, so it's definitely a Muslim country.
Yes.
People, we are very few people who are listening to jazz and the rest of the stuff. A lot of people are more interested in Sufi music, and Sufi music is being, there are different uh, guidelines, and there are different, what we call, there are different logs, to measure the level of depression. Because for you, it's very difficult, if you can measure the level of depression, he has certain amount of depression. So for us to see that depression is decreased or increased, we have different parameters. So we cannot judge people on the parameters. So definitely it helps in some regard to lower the depression.
To what extent do you think music therapy can help in relieving stress?
I think initially, if we go on music therapy and we don't use anything else like pharmacological therapy, so we can experiment this thing, to our patients, to give music therapy trial for a couple of weeks, and I believe it can help to my patients, and that should be done actually. Music therapy should be done before going to pharmacological therapy, so it does help actually.
And how music can affect emotional state of person, in your opinion?
It's all, depression is all about emotion. There is nothing else. Depression is basically related to your mind and your emotions, and when you have high emotions and which are not fulfilled actually, basically this is a sort of another definition of the stress. So stress and music is all related to your emotions. So it relieves your emotions, it helps you.
Okay.
It helps everyone actually.
So, do you think music has helped people as self-approachable therapy in COVID-19?
This is really important question, and people who are living in European countries and abroad, this is actually in the last couple of years that on the topic of interest of psychiatrists to do research on the music therapy because people are living alone and they were in depression after the COVID-19 symptoms. So they are working on this. They believe it helped them. The extent we don't know yet, but the consensus is it helped the people in coping up the COVID-19.
The scope of music therapy in Pakistan.
That's a really tough question, actually. I must say. The scope of music therapy in Pakistan. I told you before. It all depends upon the psychological and actually intellectual level of the patients as well. If you understand the music, why I talk about more of the Sufi music, and plus we consider the jazz and all this, because the understanding of the music to the patients is also really important. And if they have a sort of job and if they have a sort of living where they can have this thing, have this its availability of sessions of getting sessions of music, so then it can help because there are no centers in Pakistan where music therapy has been given at the moment. So maybe people will go into this thing and they're gonna start music therapy and anything I cannot say anything over time because it's not being done in Pakistan, but I do believe is if music therapy starts in Pakistan, it will gonna help people in